Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Brief Nerdity podcast. My name is Ryan. I'll be your host this week. Joining once again is the ever crazy Trent. That's your new thing. You're ever crazy.
Okay. Well, I mean, I did forget to start the stopwatch on time, so we're just gonna be flying by the seat of our pants.
Well, I have no idea if we're 2 hours in or 10 minutes in, because that's how time works.
We have no idea, but I bet we're at least 10 seconds in right now.
You know who could help us track time? It's our special guest, TJ. Hello, TJ.
Oh,
Are we recording right now?
I think so.
I thought you were going to tell me we had a Time Lord on the podcast, so I was going to get really excited.
We started? Oh. Hi.
Well, the new Time Lord's a girl. We don't have any girls on here right now, so.
We could have one of the old Time Lords or a different Time Lord. It doesn't have to be the Doctor.
I don't watch the show, so I can't comment.
I don't.
Oh, that's Doctor Who. I get that.
Deep cut references here on the Brief Nerdy podcast.
That's right. Or extremely shallow for anyone who's actually a Doctor Who fan.
It's true. It's true. All right, well, let's get started with this week's round robin. We got a fun hi, by the way.
Round robin.
I felt like Gamora from Guardians right then, because you're like, hi, and then I start talking, and I'm like, hi, by the way. Even though I said by the way. But, we're going to start with favorite parody. So anything that you've seen before or read before or any of the above, something that's a good parody.
Does the new Ghostbusters movie count?
Yes.
Not too soon.
Nope. I mean, I'll cry 1,000 tears for you if that is your favorite parody, but
no, I've never seen it.
Offended. I'm
I'm sure
deeply offended. I've never been more offended in my life.
I'm sorry to tell you that there is a harsh world out there waiting for you.
I don't know. Ghostbusters was pretty bad.
Ouch, man! I haven't even seen it yet.
I like it.
If only I had MoviePass, maybe I'd have gone and seen it.
Well, I do now, and you will soon.
That's true. We should talk about that at some point later.
It's on the docket.
Oh, is it really?
It is. Twice, actually. I know, right?
This show is becoming a parody.
A little bit. We should.
My favorite parody is the Brief Parody podcast. It's a parody of the old Gamer Rants videos.
What is happening right now? Okay.
You gotta just go with it. Let's go with it.
Who wants to go first for favorite parody?
I'll go.
All right, go TJ.
I really like MacGruber. Have you guys ever seen MacGruber?
Nope.
No.
It was an SNL skit that spoofed MacGyver, and they made a movie. It's a very vulgar movie, but I highly recommend it. It is one of my favorite parodies.
Huh. I just know
Very
like
nice.
there's like a soundbite like MacGruber or something like that.
Yeah, there's the whole theme song. He's like a MacGyver that's like terrible at what he does.
So,
yeah,
Awesome.
it's not MacGruber. And yeah, even if you've never seen like the short skits on SNL, the movie is very, very funny.
I'll have to check it out.
It brought out Ryan Phillippe. It brought out his comedic side, which I don't think anyone knew he had.
Huh. I didn't even know he was in that. That's
About
funny.
what year would you say that was?
That was 2010, I think.
Oh, that recent, huh?
Before or after Antitrust, my favorite Ryan Phillippe movie of all time.
I don't know. But the villain's Val Kilmer. That's always fun.
What? That sounds great.
Yep.
I need to watch this movie.
So, yeah, check it out, MacGruber. It's at your local video rental store.
Does it have a theme song?
MacGruber.
That'd be the whole song. Is there like a 3-minute version of that you could sing for us,
Kind
TJ?
of. Well, I can't because the lyrics are different every time. Only the MacGruber part's the same, and then it's new words just describing the scenario he's currently in.
That's amazing.
So, yeah, it's one because it was based off the Saturday Night Live skit, and then the movie, they had free reign to do whatever they wanted. So it's a very hard R, and it's got the best use of celery that I've ever seen in a movie, and that's all I will say about that.
Mysterious celery.
Yep. Now you have to see it.
Now I have to see it. It's true.
So what parodies do you guys like?
So Trent, would you like to go or would you like me to?
Sure. I was going to go with an SNL skit also, but I decided to change on the fly to one of my favorite movies of all time, which I consider a parody, which is Get Smart.
Oh, okay.
I'll allow it.
I mean, I know that it's based on an actual TV show, but I feel like that TV show was in itself a parody of like Mission Impossible or James Bond and that genre.
It's a parody of a parody.
Sure.
We must go deeper. Inception.
It's a parodyception. But yeah, I think it's hilarious. It's really, good and fun to watch.
Steve Carell, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Kind of reminds me of the new Jump Street movies. They're more of a parody of themselves.
A minus.
Yes, they are. 22 Jump Street has some of the best closing credits I've ever seen in a movie.
I love both.
Never seen either of them.
Oh, they are gold mine of comedy.
Are they your favorite?
No, but now that you mentioned Get Smart, like I was debating thinking of putting them, but there's one thing that I cannot deny.
Well, that question was a segue for you. So,
well, thank you.
You are welcome.
I'm gonna have to go with the Star Wars Robot Chicken specials.
Oh, well, yeah, of course. Okay.
Oh, okay.
I retract my statement and change mine to Ryan's.
Well, then I retract mine and I change mine to Trent's.
All right. Well, good. Have you seen the Star Wars Robot Chicken specials, TJ?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I may not have ever laughed harder in my life.
That's pretty much me. Yeah, I'll go back and watch them again for probably the 100th time, and I'll still just laugh a ton every single time.
Yeah, they're great.
And I always just love introducing them to new people, and Trent and I quote it to this day. Big mistakey. Yep. You're gonna say.
It's a no, guys.
Oh, it works better as an instrumental, anyways.
The other one we probably shouldn't say because its punchline would make it sure.
Yeah.
But it's got to do with calamari, and it's really, really funny.
But if anyone who's a fan of Star Wars and has never seen the Robot Chicken specials, you have to go see them. They're seriously, in my opinion, one of the funniest things I've ever seen ever.
And there's 3 of them, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I would say right underneath those would be the Family Guy Star Wars parodies.
I thought they did a serviceable job, but I wasn't in love with them.
Oh man, when they do the escape from Tatooine and they're shooting at the TIE fighters and Peter/Han is like da 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 as he's shooting, like
great kid, don't get penisy.
That's some really good stuff. So,
oh, nice. Favorite parodies, everybody. We all agree it's the Star Wars Robot Chicken special.
Yep.
We all agree it's the Austin Powers series.
Oh, touche. Those are good ones too. Those would be high up on my list, honestly. So, lots of good parodies. All right, well, let's get to what we playing. Trent, what you playing?
Still a bit of Ark and a lot of League of Legends. That's pretty much it still. I had a really busy week this last week. I kind of just came home from work and crashed and watched some TV most nights and then went to bed. So not a lot of gaming this week.
I hope you didn't crash into my house when you came home.
I did. There's a giant hole in the back. I told Maggie not to tell you. I'm sorry.
That's what she said?
Sure.
There's a giant hole in the back.
That's right.
Yep.
I drove around back just to crash into your house.
Gotcha. All right. Well, for me, I play a little bit more of a no laughing. We're moving on to the next subject. I played a bit more as Zelda Link Between Worlds. Love every second of it. Still possibly one of the greatest Zelda games and one of the greatest games ever made. Happy to be playing through it again for a second time. I'm going a little bit off book this week with my normal standard tastes and something that people are surprised I haven't really played to this day. But StarCraft Remastered came out recently, and I dabbled in playing StarCraft with my friends in high school, but I'd never played through the campaign, the story.
I dabbled.
And so, yeah, I'm playing through the StarCraft Remastered campaign, and I just finished the Terran campaign, and I'll be starting the Zerg campaign once I'm no longer playing Sonic or Mario v Rabbids. Mario plus Rabbids. So it has a steep learning curve, and it's not easy, and so I definitely use cheats.
Yeah.
They start
RTS
off
game.
they start off like super easy, and I'm like, oh man, this is gonna be cake, and then like just one mission in, or one mission after that, just like, oh, okay, yep.
When he started, I was like, there are cheat codes in case it gets too hard, and he's like, I don't think I'll need them.
I was so wrong, so wrong.
The power was overwhelming, you might say.
Yep, it's because they cheat. They cheat. I cheat.
They do cheat, actually.
I know. I could tell.
So
I love the concept of RTS games, but I'm so terrible at them.
Ditto.
I'm decent at the multiplayer, and by decent I mean like I'm probably in the mid-range of like bronze level players, but I consider that decent.
Yeah, there you go.
I have a friend who actually made like the highest rank of StarCraft 2's multiplayer, which was pretty cool, and played some tournaments. But
that is insane.
Those guys are ridiculously amazing.
So yeah, that's all I've been playing. What about you, TJ?
Well, I have still been playing a lot of Splatoon 2. I still love it. I've talked about it the last 2 times I was on, so I won't talk about it anymore. But I have some gaming confessions with your guys' games. So Trent, League of Legends, I have probably seen a total of 5 seconds of footage of that game in my entire life. I know little to nothing about League of Legends, which is crazy considering how popular it is.
That is both sad, but also I'm kind of happy for you that you've never had to experience the community of that game.
Like, I can't even, like, just thinking of the game right now, I can't even picture it. Like, the image I have in my head is probably totally wrong from what it actually looks like. So, yeah,
fair enough.
So there's that. And then my other confession, Ryan, for StarCraft, the only StarCraft I ever played was StarCraft 64.
I think you've told me that before.
I might have. But it's so funny because so many people hate that game, and it's probably all people that played it on PC. But I would rent that game every once in a while. Like, I had fun with it. Whenever my buddy would come over, and I remember times where we weren't very good at it, so we would just let the game mine for resources for like a couple hours, and then we would come back and then fight each other with all like the good stuff.
That's awesome.
So yeah, that's the only StarCraft I know.
I'm sure it's just the same thing as the PC, but just stripped down a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, and with a controller.
Yeah. And my uncle, he makes video games, and he let me play StarCraft Ghosts, even though it never came out.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Did he work for Nintendo?
Yeah, he works for Nintendo. Oh, StarCraft Ghost, one of the playground games. People would talk about.
No, it's cool to see StarCraft, literally 20 years later, just kind of do a trip back in time, and again, kind of like the Shadow of the Colossus stuff I played last year, play just an old game that I've somehow missed for 20 years.
Yeah.
And now playing through it for the first time and getting to experience the story and, everything like that. So it's cool.
Yeah, I played the original so much that I knew the easiest way to get it loaded onto school computers so that my friends and I could play LAN games like before, during, and after school.
I just played a lot of Number Munchers in school.
Yeah, Number Munchers.
I love Number Munchers. Not as good as Oregon Trail.
No, of course not.
Nothing.
Is there?
I actually the other day found myself craving to play Oregon Trail.
Oregon Trail, like, I used to play that a lot, and I was really good at it. And if you play it now, it's a pretty difficult game.
It's a really difficult game. Like, I always picked the doctor because he was super rich, and I still usually didn't make it.
Yeah. And just the Indians helping you cross the river. They always did a great job.
Yes.
There are a couple of games I've been thinking about starting up again, but I've kind of gone against it since we have a ton of big releases coming out here. Because both of them will be super not time wasters, but time commitment eating games. One of them is City Skylines.
Yes.
Do either of you play that?
No.
Yeah, I like that game. I'm not good at it, but I like it.
Do you know what it is, TJ?
No, what is it?
It's basic. You know about the disappointment that was the latest SimCity from EA,
Yeah.
right?
All the server issues and whatnot. Yeah.
Basically, an indie game company basically just made a modern SimCity.
Oh.
Like, if you loved the 90s or early 2000s versions of SimCity, you'll be right at home. It's just a modern make of those.
And I believe it's some of the people who were originally at Maxis who made some of the original SimCity.
Oh, nice. I didn't know that, but
I think.
It got a lot of press when it first came out, and I picked it up. I think it's even brand new. It's like $20 as well.
Oh, cool.
And they've actually added a number of free DLC packs to it, I believe, adding just a ton of features.
So I played it a ton when it first came out, and I got to the point where my city was like ultra profitable and huge. And so it got to the point at that point where there wasn't much more to do at that point. Because they didn't have some things that the original SimCities had, like disasters, which they have since added. Yeah. So I'm like, I kind of want to go back and build myself another city now. And then the next one is a game I haven't played yet, and I really want to, but I've been kind of like avoiding until I just have a large time span that I could just dedicate to it, because I know I'm going to lose myself to it. Because I was a huge fan of the old Harvest Moon games, I really, really want to play Stardew Valley.
Ah, yes, so do I.
But I'm just like, I know as soon as I do, I'm going to lose myself completely.
I played nothing but that game for 2 months.
So I'm like, I got to find a time when I'm ready to take that on, because
I'm waiting on that Switch version.
I've added a ton of content to it since I played it, so...
I know, I actually keep track of like the updates and stuff like that. So,
have they added multiplayer mode yet?
No, it's actually coming to the Switch first.
What multiplayer mode is?
Yeah.
What?
But they still don't have a release date for the Switch version. But on Wednesday, there's like an indie showcase for Switch games. So maybe they will announce it then.
They've been very adamant that's still coming out in 2017, but the multiplayer patch is coming out early 2018.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I think that's another great game for Switch, though. Just being able to play it on TV or portable.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm waiting for it on that. I'll definitely pick it up though for that.
Because man, I for months as a kid I played Harvest Moon 64, like so much time invested in Harvest Moon 64, and so.
Oh yeah, me too.
The fact that this is basically a reimagining of that game, just makes me very, very excited. And so I'm excited to play it. I'll hopefully get around to it soon.
Did I ever talk about... Oh, go on.
Sorry, it's one of those games where you look at it and you're like, it doesn't really look that impressive, but it's so simple. And the idea that this guy made it just like as a project to teach himself how to code is just, I love every part of it.
Yeah, I kind of went through that same feeling when I was a kid. Like my friend got it, and he's like, "Yeah, it's a game where you like farm and do chores and stuff." And I was like, "What?" Even as like a 13, 14-year-old or however old I was at the time, probably not even that old. I was just like, "Okay, cool." And then like we started playing it, and then man, I quickly became obsessed. So, but yeah, what were you gonna say, TJ?
Did I ever tell my Super Nintendo Harvest Moon story on the show?
Not that I'm aware of.
I don't know.
That was the only video game in my life that I ever convinced my mom to buy me. Like, just buy me for no reason. I told her, I'm like, yeah, it's a game you play as a farmer. You got to, like, plant crops and raise, like, livestock and stuff. I'm like, it sounds really neat. And she was like, oh, that sounds interesting. That sounds really different. All right, I'll buy it for you. And I never saw a copy in person in my entire life. It was impossible to find.
Oh, okay.
Harvest Moon for Super Nintendo. She agreed to buy it for me. Still, to this day, have never seen one in person.
I was like, well, that went dark really fast. Like, did your mom just forget about you? Like,
well, no. Like, I mean, my mom is.
I got you.
Yeah, no, but my mom is not one to go hunt down like electronics and toys and stuff like that. So it's not like she was out looking for it. She just said, like, okay, if we're ever at the store and you see it, I'll get it for you. We never saw it. So
that makes
so I've never played the Super Nintendo one. But I played a lot of 64, like Ryan.
Nice.
Well, 64 is a better one, so.
Yeah.
There's
but still, with it being the first one, and like I knew it was coming out. Like it was coming out soon, so like to play that, when it first came out with nothing else, like it at all, that would have been great. But yeah, Harvest Moon 64 was really good. Did you know they put that on? I'm pretty sure that's on Wii U Virtual Console.
I had no idea.
I'm pretty sure it is. So something to think
get going on the Switch Virtual Console. I want to play like Super Mario World on my Switch.
Well, first Switch needs to have a Virtual Console.
No, that's what I'm saying. They need to get on the Switch Virtual Console. I want to buy.
Yeah, I kind of wonder if like this whole classic line, like NES Classic, SNES Classic, is what's holding them back from having a Virtual Console.
I don't know. They haven't put all that much work into it.
I was listening to their podcast, and they had a good point. Like, we know that the SNES Classic is probably going to be like hard to get in demand, just like the NES Classic was. Like, they're charging what, $80 for it? Is that right?
Yeah, but it comes with 2 controllers, remember? So
yeah, so I mean, they're eating the hardware cost. Why not just charge $80 for a SNES Classic pack in the Switch store, where you get the exact same emulation software with all the games included? You know?
Oh yeah, I think I heard that too. I don't know if it's maybe like a licensing thing since they have some of the third-party games on there or what, but I don't know. We're never gonna know the truth.
Yeah, it seemed like that would print money.
I wouldn't pay full price for the digital version of a hardware package, but I'd pay maybe like 70 or 60 for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of that, Ryan, you got your pre-order in, right?
I did. Thank you. Big shout out to TJ for informing me that Best Buy's pre-orders were up, and I managed to get one right before they sold out.
Yeah.
Because I pre-ordered one, and don't hate me, but I was going to pre-order another one, do one shipping and one in-store pickup just in case something happened. But after I checked out successfully my first time, I went to go add another one, and nope, they were sold out. So I barely made it.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you got one.
Well, one is all I need, so.
For those of you listening that don't know, they put them up on a random night. I think it was like a night or two after we recorded the podcast where I talked about how anytime now they can be going up.
Yep.
And just randomly on Best Buy, was it? Was that the first one? Yeah, at midnight Central Time.
Middle of the night.
Yeah, and then they went up on Amazon at like 3 a.m. Central Time. And then Walmart got them like a day or two later. It was a big mess.
Yeah. Well, and then, it's really frustrating. Like, I don't know if that was the plan or if like Best Buy went early and everybody just had to jump on board, or I know I have at least 3 or 4 friends that posted about it the next day, and they were really disappointed because they really wanted one, and there's just no way of getting one now, unless you want to pay hundreds of dollars to a scalper.
I'm just so happy that I don't have to live with the stress of trying to get one all holiday season long like last year.
Yeah.
Because I didn't end up even getting one until like February as a Christmas gift. And so
I just don't understand why. Like, I mean, we've had this complaint before with the NES Classic. It doesn't make any sense to me why they would do this to people who want to give them money. Like,
yeah, I don't know. I have no explanation. And what drives me nuts is I love my NES Classic, but it's not complete because I don't have a second controller. Like, I have like the Best Buy Insignia brand controller, which actually isn't bad, but just it kills me knowing that I don't have an official second controller and I'm never going to get one.
How expensive are they alone?
I think they're like $50 or $60 right now.
Yeah.
Because the stores, every store got like 1 or 2 of them on release day, and then stores never got new shipments in.
Jeez.
And they retailed for $10. So that's why when I was talking about the Super Nintendo Classic having a second controller, it's like at least they're eliminating that stress.
Yeah.
So
maybe when we get to the Wii U Classic, that'll finally have their game straight.
Yeah.
A little tiny tablet controller. It's about the size of a mini iPhone.
Yes.
I really hope they do a Game Boy Classic though.
I would buy that.
That'd be really cool. I think they could throw together a cheap handheld with like 20 or 30 games on it.
Better have Pokemon on it.
No, it would. So yeah. And yes, Ryan, Harvest Moon 64 is definitely on the Wii U Virtual Console. It came out a week before the Switch launched, so that's why no one really knew.
Now, do I get that and play that? Then my itch for Stardew Valley may go away.
Well, it's probably better.
But it's good that they have it in digital form, because the 64 is also quite rare.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's good of them.
So there you go. And it's $10. Not bad.
Not bad at all. All right. Well, speaking of Nintendo, Mario plus Rabbids comes out tomorrow, guys.
It does. I'm very excited.
Woo! There's much rejoicing.
Woo.
And reviews are mostly positive so far.
Yeah, they are. They are no bad ones. I think the lowest I've seen was like 7.5, I want to say.
Yeah.
But even that's not bad.
But yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's I mean, we've talked about it on the show before, but yeah, it's a new concept, and supposedly all the reviews said they merged the two worlds together. The Rabbids really aren't annoying in it. Yeah, a lot of positives. I just heard it's very hard. A lot of the critics were saying it's way harder than you'd expect it to be.
Yep.
I'm pretty excited about that.
One critic mentioned he planned to just like knock it out like over the weekend, but got stuck several times and had to like go into like staying up late Sunday night to finish it so he could have his review written by Monday.
Yeah. They're doing a season pass for it too. Did you see that?
I didn't.
Yeah, they're adding, I don't know how much it is, but they're going to add like new gear and then new story content too, like early next year. So
That's pretty cool.
We'll see how that goes.
I probably won't pick up the season pass. If the DLC is good, I'll probably purchase afterwards, but no.
Oh yeah.
Never once in my entire life have I bought a season pass and been happy I did. For a single game. Yeah.
Well, there's an interesting topic because I have.
It is. What did you buy, Trent? That you were you said you bought one that you were really happy with?
Yes.
And what was that?
Fallout 4 and XCOM 2.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, the Fallout 4 stuff's great.
Yeah, and not only was Fallout 4 really good, but they decided that they were going to add extra content, and anyone who had already bought it, they just got it as part of their season pass.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because didn't they increase the season pass price, but they gave everyone like a month heads up?
Yeah, they're like, hey, by the way, we're adding this extra whole expansion thing, like content, but we'll give you like a month or like 3 weeks or something to buy it at the current price.
Yeah.
So I was pretty happy, and I've gone back and played it a number of times since then. So.
Some of my favorite DLC was Mario Kart 8 on Wii U. They added 16 new tracks and new characters and some new carts and stuff, but it was really cheap. I think it was like $12, but a ton of content though. And they're all really good tracks. Yeah. They brought that all over for the Switch version, but yeah, that was really, really good DLC.
I just purchased that after the fact as each came out. I don't know how much money I lost by doing that. Maybe $1 or $2.
Oh yeah, no, I don't think so. I think the price always stayed the same.
Yeah, so just a few that come to mind. I know I've probably only purchased maybe like 5, 6, or 7 season passes because I'm usually pretty careful when doing it. But one was BioShock Infinite, where the game was great, and then it came out and said, hey, you know what? You're gonna get 3 pieces of single player story content in this game. And I was like, you know what? I love BioShock, and BioShock 2's DLC was great, and then let's do this. So I purchased that season pass. The first piece of download content was a really, really crappy, just like a horde mode for BioShock. And I was like, okay, this is what I want out of BioShock, is just basically stand in an area with, tons and tons of waves of enemies coming. Because the best part of BioShock is its gameplay, It's really
I've got nothing against horde modes, but yeah, not for BioShock though.
And then the second one, they just split in 2 parts. They did the Burial at Sea, part 1, part 2. So it was basically one piece of single player story content split into 2 parts.
Oh, huh.
So I was like, and I paid full price for that season pass, and I basically got 1 piece of DLC from it. Didn't think it was worth it, but whatever. A couple more short ones that come to mind are Titanfalls. I bought their season pass. I love Titanfall, and I would have loved to experience that DLC content, but multiplayer was pretty dead on PC by the time the packs came out, and I just splintered the community even more and basically just killed the game. And then pretty much the same thing with Battlefront. Had that season pass as well, and Trent, how many total games of the DLC do you think we played? Maybe 10? through all like 3 DLC packs?
Yeah, we played 2 or 3 Jakku, 2 or 3 whatever the battle from Rogue One is on the planet. And then the best one, to be honest, was the Death Star one. We probably played half dozen of those.
Yeah, that's true. Like, we didn't even play Bespins, right?
Yeah, now that I think about it, I don't think we ever did Cloud City, which is sad. But...
So just kind of after that, I'm just kind of like, yeah, I'm going to kind of take a break from season passes and just buy it after it comes out and eat the extra cost, so to speak.
Yeah, season passes are definitely a risk. It's like pre-ordering. You know, you're paying for, well, it depends. Pre-ordering is a risk if there's like, for the game itself, and then sometimes you get a benefit of getting like exclusive content. But the season pass, like you said, they could be like all really big and flowery with their promises and then deliver crap. So you never know.
Well, yeah, I didn't even buy the season pass for Breath of the Wild until the first half of it came out. And once I saw what was in it, I'm like, okay, now I'll buy it. But I didn't even go into that blind.
Yeah.
And on the same token, I'm waiting for the second one to see if the story content is worth the price of admission, because I'm one that didn't think the first pack was bad, but definitely not worth $10 if we're splitting it in half yet.
Yeah.
So
I was surprised that content, like, I was done playing it by the time that came out, and that did get me back into it for a while. I had a lot of fun with that new mode and stuff that they had, and then hunting down, because all the DLC costumes that they gave you, they didn't just give them to you, you had to go find them. Yeah, so there were like riddles and stuff that, led you around to the chest. So yeah, it was pretty neat, but I don't blame you for waiting though.
I'll probably still get it. We'll just have to wait and see. If they do like a quote unquote real Zelda dungeon, that will be enough to be like, all right, let's do this.
Yeah.
All right. Well, forgive me, fellow co-hosts and our viewers. I skipped our What You Watching segment. I was so excited to talk about Mario v. Rabbids, but I totally skipped it. So I'll kick it off by saying what I've been watching lately. I'm trying to get into the newest season of Orange is the New Black. It's not terrible. I'm just kind of sick as a whole of the show at this point. It's a show that I felt like kind of gave its message in the first few seasons, but now that we're as far as we are in, it's just kind of like, okay, like I'm ready for this to wrap up now. It just seems to be kind of spinning its wheels. Do either of you watch it?
I've seen the pilot and I loved it, but that's all I've ever seen.
I have also only seen the pilot, but I did not love it.
Season 1 was great. Season 2 was okay. Season 3 and 4, or 3 was great as well. 4 was kind of going down a path, and now I think this is 5. I'm just like, okay, like that's enough. That's enough of the story, please.
I love me some Russian Captain Janeway.
She is probably the best character on the entire show.
Nice.
My favorite character, anyways. So
it really makes me want to watch it more now.
There's that. So
yeah, it's always been on my list of Netflix shows to watch, but it just keeps getting bumped by other Netflix shows.
Yeah.
Like whether it's Marvel ones or House of Cards or something else, just was always one step in front of it.
That's one of the earlier Netflix shows.
Yeah, I think it was it first or second? Was House of Cards first?
House of Cards was definitely first, so it must have been second.
Yeah. It definitely became super popular.
So both it and House of Cards, in my opinion, just need to end. They've told the story they need to tell, and they just need to be done with it, in my opinion. But other than that, I went and saw Dunkirk with you, Trent, yesterday, and I used
Dunkirk. You saw Dunkirk.
And I used MoviePass.
Was that your first time using MoviePass?
It was my first time. I got the card on Friday, and I went to Trent, and I'm like, Trent, I got my card. We got to go use it. Do you want to see Logan Lucky or Dunkirk?
And I chose wrong.
Uh-oh, you didn't like it?
It wasn't bad. I don't know. It was weird. It was slow in parts. It was hard to understand or really relate to a lot of the people because you didn't really learn hardly anything about anyone. Like I don't know if I could name a single character.
No, but I don't think that's really the point, though.
I get that. I don't know. I feel like it's harder to relate to stuff if you don't really like all I really know is that there were people stuck on a beach because Nazis, and the British are dicks to the French, and a lot of like rich yacht owners came and saved the day. And that's about what I got from it.
Yeah, and I really think that's what you were supposed to get from it. I honestly, I thought that was kind of refreshing just to see a movie where it's like, all right, they're not going to give you this whole big backstory or add in like some fake story to an actual like historical event. It's just like this is a small part of this huge war, and this was crazy. So it's hard to even imagine what the whole war was like if this one small portion of it was this like nuts.
Yeah, I think what I said to Ryan as we were walking back to the car was I think they need to rename this "War: A Logistical Nightmare" the movie, because it was all about like this one army trying to get off a beach, and like it legit was a horrible problem that was almost impossible for this like world power to solve.
Yeah.
And it was, I mean, that part of it was interesting. I liked the aerial battles. I wish the thing had been shown sequentially.
Yeah, that was probably my biggest problem because it took me like 75% of the way through the movie to realize what they meant in the beginning when it's like the mole, 7 days, and then the boat, 1 week, 1 day,
or something,
and
like
then
that,
the plane, 1 hour. And I'm like, oh, okay. Is that how long it takes to get to the army? But the army's at the beach or at the mole. Why is it 7 days? And like, it wasn't until like 75% of the way through the movie I'm like, oh, that's how long each of their storylines are taking place to go. But we're jumping back and forth.
And apparently
them.
I got the same idea as the kid from One Direction, because I thought the mole was a person and not a place the whole time. And so like I thought that the Frenchman was a mole, like some German spy, because he was super shifty and never talked. And I was like, so I just so confused. And Christopher Nolan managed to hide Tom Hardy behind a mask for another entire movie again.
I know. And then he's behind a mask for like half the movie in Mad Max. Hollywood really likes to cover his face.
And I don't understand. It's a good face.
It is.
Why? What are you guys doing?
It is a good face.
I highly doubt they'll do this, but I wonder if, like, when the Blu-ray comes out, I wonder if you would be able to watch it in sequential order, kind of like they did with what's his first movie, Memento.
Memento, yeah.
Yeah, so that would be interesting.
It would.
They can do that, and then they can add me in the Ben Affleck, Josh Hartnett, Kate Beckinsale love triangle, and I'll just be set.
But yeah, I don't know. Just watching the movie, because I think I told you guys it kind of felt more like a documentary that wasn't really narrated.
That's good.
Yeah. But with that, like, I don't know. I felt bad for so many of those people, and like just to think that in real life, those yacht owners, like the small boat owners, they did go and risk their lives to go and get these soldiers that they obviously didn't know, just to go save these strangers and get them out of there. Like I mean, I can't even imagine driving a little boat that you just go out every once in a while and to have fun, just driving it into war, without any weapons or anything, no way to defend yourself. But they did it. And
I'll be honest, that arrival scene was the best part of the movie. Like I legit got choked up with the music and the soldiers cheering, and just like seeing these kind of like middle-aged to older men and women like just sail in on these tiny little boats. And the whole time the movie's been reinforcing in your head about like the terrifying aspect of the German U-boats and the planes and everything.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, it had its really good moments. I felt like a lot of it was offset by the rest of it.
No, I can understand that. And I feel like, I guess technically we've jumped into like spoiler territory, like with this whole discussion. But this is like one of the first movies I could think of where I don't think you can really spoil anything and ruin it, because it does feel so different than like a standard movie, especially like a typical war movie.
Yeah, it's more about the movie, how the movie feels, how they utilize the visuals and the sounds to evoke a feeling in the audience, and so
yeah. Well, it's funny because I read the Christopher Nolan originally wanted to shoot without a script, and the movie studio was like, "No, you're insane."
Well, it's really interesting. Like I thought that there was one shot in particular where it was these two sets of soldiers trying to get these rowboats out into the ocean, and the tide was really coming in on them, and like the waves were really big and choppy. And I bet they didn't fake any of that. They just like literally told these people, here, go try to get this boat out onto the water, and we're gonna film you as you fail over and over again.
Yeah, that's a good point. I could believe it.
Because it just looked so awful. Like I felt like you said, I just felt terrible for everyone.
Yeah, it's one of those rare movies where like the behind the scenes making of it might even be even more entertaining than the actual movie itself.
Yeah.
Not to say I did enjoy it. I really did like it, but I said it just doesn't feel like a standard typical movie to me. It felt like something different. So I appreciate it for that. But yeah, the making of it would probably be really interesting.
It's true. The more you're making me talk about it, the more I think I actually do kind of like it a little bit.
And you know what? Honestly, I was kind of the same way. Like I walked out of it, like I was like, oh, I liked it. But then when I talked to my wife about it more and more, I'm like, I think I like this movie more than I thought I did.
That's kind of weird.
Yeah.
I just want to know when that guy finishes poop. That's all I'm saying.
Finishes poop.
Yeah, I don't.
Remember at the very beginning where he meets the French guy, he pulls his pants down to use the restroom, but then sees the guy who's the French guy burying the body, and then he pulls his pants up and then like helps him with the body, and then they go right into carrying that guy on a stretcher on the dock.
I was under the assumption that he did finish.
I don't know. That was like a 3-second poop then. So
I mean, we're talking about jumping all over here, though. I mean, that could have been like a 20-minute poop.
There was a time jump involved.
Just staring at him, watching him bury this body while pooping. So
well, hey, when you gotta poop, you gotta poop.
That's right. But I mean,
also, like he had plenty of time in the water. If he needed to do a water poop, I think he would have been fine.
That's just what happened between there because he helped him with the stretcher. Then he gets on. Then he's on the docks. Maybe he pooped off the dock when he was clinging on below. So.
Or maybe he just went in his pants.
Probably at some point after everything that happened to him in that movie.
Oh yeah, I would not. I would not put it. Yeah, I would not even fault him for it.
I hope the Blu-ray has a whole bonus scene just all about this. Just like a 20-minute documentary about that.
All right. Well, that's what we've watched lately. Trent, do you want to take us?
One more thing. Just one of my main takeaways that I got from that movie is, my God, I'm so happy I never had to go through that. And it's like, you got to give these soldiers, these human beings, so much credit. And I mean, there's other things in other movies and other real events that have happened that, obviously show like the bravery that, and the struggles that these people had to go through. But like every once in a while you get something like this that really reminds you like, man, I could have it so much worse.
Oh yeah, I mean just that like the main kid that they follow from the very beginning all the way to the end. I mean he helps a guy carry a body, almost misses the boat. They get on the boat, then the boat gets shot and sinks, and then they climb onto the dock, and then there's another boat, and then they get off that boat, and then there's like a boat that's beached that they get into, and the Germans just start shooting at it for whatever reason, and it just goes on and on and on. I was like, this kid just can't catch a break.
Nope. So
it's the day of all.
The reason, right? You saw all those other British people, getting in line like all proper because British people are good at staying in line, and he just kept trying to cut in line. And so, ladies and gentlemen, that's what happens when you cut in line.
He really wanted to get home. Nobody else wanted it as badly as him, apparently.
The British are about orderly conduct, so.
Yeah, it was good stuff. Anyway, so the only other thing I've been watching lately is I've been catching up on the final season of Teen Wolf, which so far has been really good, actually, compared to some previous seasons. So I'm pretty excited.
Do you like the original Teen Wolf movies?
There were more than one?
Oh yes. That statement just further proves how awful Teen Wolf 2 is. It's probably one of the worst movies ever made.
I really liked the first one with Michael J. Fox. It was really fun and campy, and so yeah, I like that movie.
Well, Teen Wolf 2 is Jason Bateman. It's not Michael J. Fox. It's like a completely different cast, except I think the dad is the same, but he's not playing basketball in it. I'm pretty sure he's a boxer.
Weird.
So, yeah, it's awful.
Well, in the TV show, they play lacrosse.
Oh, okay. Is he in a Civil War play at all in the TV show?
No.
Oh,
Was that in the second movie?
that's in the no, it's in the first movie.
What? There's a Civil War play?
Yeah, he joins drama to get with that hot chick.
It's
And
been
then
a
she
long time
finds
since
out.
I've seen this movie.
Yeah, he finds out.
I just remember him playing basketball and like doing backflips on the van. That's pretty much the memories I have of this movie.
Yep, Teen Wolf, everybody.
That's right. There's your review for 19 whatever is Teen Wolf. So let's talk about Super Mario again.
Well, what's TJ watching?
I don't know. Does anybody care?
Oh,
No.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Poor TJ.
You know, last week you called me Tommy from the Power Rangers, the best compliment I've ever received, and now you just shut me down.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I feel bad.
That's okay. What am I watching? What am I watching? I'm going to see Terminator 2 Judgment Day 3D tomorrow. I'm very excited.
Ooh,
I was going to see it last week. Me and my sister are going because I saw Terminator 2. I saw it in the theater when it came out when I was like 5 or 6 years old. And one of my favorite movies to this day. I'm really excited to see it on the big screen. Don't really care about the 3D. But yeah, the motorcycle or dirt bike motorcycle truck chase scene is one of my favorite, if not my favorite movie scene of all time. So to see it on the big screen in 3D, I'm excited. There's an interview with James Cameron. He said he changed one thing about the movie, and it's actually in that scene. It's nothing major, but when the truck is chasing John and John goes into that ditch and he thinks he gets away, the truck just jumps off the bridge and lands. When it lands, the two windshields fall out, but then when they show the truck again, the windshields are back in. And James Cameron said that drove him absolutely crazy for all these years, every time he saw it, so they digitally fixed that in this cut of the movie.
Nice.
So, yeah, but yeah, going to see that. That'll be fun. And yeah, as far as what I'm watching, just Big Brother. I know you're half watching it, Trent. Yeah, it's still just whatever.
Yeah.
Nothing to really talk about with that.
I'm kind of excited to start like up again this week because like all the opposition's gone, so they got to start tearing up each other now. So
Yeah.
maybe someone will go after Paul. Who knows? Crazy things can happen.
Yeah. But yeah, and then Defenders, I guess I'm still kind of watching it. I'm only halfway through. I have like no desire to continue, but I feel like I have to.
Oh no.
I mean, I will because it's only 4 more episodes, but it's not what I thought it would be. So, but I know you said
I'm trying to remember what happened at the end of the 4th episode. Are they in a restaurant?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They argued in the restaurant for a while.
Okay.
It's just strange. I mean, maybe like this will all get resolved by the time it's over with, but the Hand is threatening the city. They're gonna like destroy the entire city of Manhattan. And it's like, don't you think at this point, like someone from the Avengers should know, or even like the National Guard, or just anyone besides those 4 people that can't even get along with each other?
Nah.
Because that's what I liked about like Daredevil. You know, he's fighting for his city, and you know, Luke Cage is fighting for Harlem. Like, you know, these money launderers and stuff like that. And now it's on this epic scale, and they're like, well, we'll handle it, but we'll handle it separately.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, we need to have like a full-on spoiler cast at some point because there's definitely some writing problems with that season. I feel
Well,
like
I'll try and finish it before next time I'm on, and then we could do that.
Sweet.
So yeah, but that's what I'm watching.
Well, good. Now let's go back to Nintendo. Yay, the podcast of jumping all over the place. So Gamescom was this past week, and Super Mario Odyssey won Best of Gamescom.
Nice.
So
yeah,
makes me even more excited to buy this game.
It pretty much won Best of E3 as well, so it's looking to be possibly Game of the Year, with its only contender probably being Zelda. So
yeah,
dang. Could you have imagined last year that, or 2 years ago, like, hey, in a couple years, Nintendo is going to have like the top 2 contenders for Game of the Year?
Yeah, it's. Well, I'm just thinking about this here too. So I don't know if we talked about it or not. Once again, my memory's awful. But this year we got a new Zelda, a new Mario. We're getting a new Metroid. There is technically a new Star Fox. And then we got a brand new Sonic. And we're possibly getting a brand new Toe Jam and Earl this year.
Sonic.
So it's like, it's unbelievable. And all these games have been good so far.
Yeah.
Like, really good.
Yeah, it looks really fun.
Yeah. So I don't know. Did you hear how like people have been offended by the sombrero that Mario wears?
No.
Really? Jeez.
I think to the point where they took that off of the cover art. Like the cover art is him in a bunch of different costumes, and they had to remove the sombrero one because they didn't like it.
Hooray! People are
Yeah.
having fun.
But they left the one on where he's wearing a yarmulke. I'm surprised they weren't offended by that.
It reminds me back of the original Ocarina of Time, where you probably know this, TJ, maybe better even than I do, but they had to change the Fire Temple music. And then they also changed like the symbol. The old one was like a moon and star for
on the mirror shield.
And the mirror shield, yeah.
And then Ganon like coughed up blood at the end. They had to remove that. I think there's 5 or 6 versions of that cart.
Yeah.
Huh.
And it drives me crazy because I was one of the few people I knew that had the original gold cart. That mean it was the first version that had all that stuff still in it, and I traded in all my stuff to get GameCube.
So it just hasn't. Oh, you traded in? Oh crap!
Oh yeah, I traded in all of my N64 games. I had all the boxes and everything for all my N64 games, not knowing what they would be worth today.
Oh man, if you could go back and shake yourself as a kid, be like, "Don't do it."
I know, but see, and in retrospect, I got my GameCube. That allowed me to get my GameCube, and that's, like I said before, my favorite console of all time. But just knowing, because so many people did not save their N64 boxes because they were just cheap cardboard boxes.
Yep.
And they're so valuable now.
I have an unopened Ocarina of Time gold cart.
Do you really?
I do.
Holy cow. Like one of the first printings?
Yep.
Well, did you ever hear the story of that gold cart? Like how it came to be?
I don't think so, no.
So I'm pretty sure this is true. So Nintendo, at E3, they said they were releasing Zelda, they had it playable there. And IGN was like, oh, you're doing a gold cart for this one, right? Just like the old games? And Nintendo did not plan on doing that. And then so many people got excited about the possibility of a gold cart that they had to scramble to actually make it happen. So I know so many people pre-ordered it, and then so many stores did not get the gold cart copies because they didn't mass produce them like that.
Huh. Interesting.
So I remember of all my friends that pre-ordered, I was the only person that got the gold cart. Like everywhere else that they pre-ordered from were like, no, we just got the regular ones. So
that's weird.
Yeah. And then Majora's Mask, I think they were all gold carts with the hologram cover. So
not all of them. I've seen gray Majora's Mask carts.
Oh.
They're not. I mean, I think I've only seen one in my whole life, but I remember seeing it at a used game store, and I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
I should have bought it.
Well, see, and that's what we talk about before with video game preservation. It's like when it's on a cart like that, you have it. That's how it is. But then with digital games now and all these digital updates, it's like once they update that, it's gone. There's no way to get that back.
Yeah, it's made me sad as I played through either the Zelda Master Edition on GameCube or the Collector's Edition disc or even the 3DS remake. It's just like, oh, well, every time I hear the Fire Temple music, I'm just like, oh, the original is so much better.
Yeah. So, yeah, another interesting side topic.
Yeah. Kind of on the same note, this may not be true as well, kind of like your story, but I heard that Nintendo wasn't planning on having you ride a horse in Ocarina of Time, but...
Oh, I never heard that one.
But kind of the same thing, fans or magazines were reporting that you could, and then so they added it to the game later.
Oh, huh.
In development.
That would be very weird to not have that in the game.
I'll see if I can look up a source for that.
Brief Nerdity Hearsay Edition.
At least we're acknowledging it could be.
All of these actual stories to talk about. We talk about what might have happened in the 90s.
I will find a source for my story.
I won't. I'm just gonna go with it.
I'm just gonna believe you. You have enough. What's the word I'm looking for? Credibility.
Street cred.
Yep.
So I'm gonna throw an audible and talk about something from Gamescom that got released that I'm really excited about that we don't have on the list.
You can only talk about it if you think it. it happened.
I think
You
it's
it was
true.
real. Okay.
This is a game that I think is going to happen, and it's the Jurassic Park or Jurassic World, like sim park game,
Hmm.
and it looks amazing, and I'm super happy.
Yeah,
I can't wait to build a dinosaur park and then have it go terribly wrong and watch the dinosaurs eat everyone.
it's from the makers of Roller Coaster Tycoon, also, right? I think so.
I think so, yeah.
I think that's right.
I was just surprised that this hadn't happened yet. Like, how is this still like a new concept for a game? Like, they should have made this 20 years ago.
Yeah, I don't know. When does that come out? Is there even a release date for it?
Oh,
Yeah,
I
I'm
do
not sure.
know. I'm sure there probably is.
Well, I'm looking forward to it.
You find a source for your hearsay, Ryan?
No, not yet.
So why don't you tell us how much money you're giving to MoviePass now?
MoviePass.
MoviePass. You can't steal that. That's mine. You can't steal that from me.
Welcome to Beef Nerdy, where we steal everything from everybody else. No, I was very happy with it. Trent kind of watched me. We got out of the car, and as we were walking from the parking lot to the theater, I pulled out the app. I clicked the theater we were at, the movie we want to see, and the time we want to see it. And then it just a giant check mark appeared on the screen. It's like, okay, your money's loaded onto your card. You have 30 minutes to purchase your ticket. And so I said, okay. And I just walked over. Well, first I went to the kiosk outside. Something might have been wrong with the kiosk because Trent, with his normal card, said it took a couple tries for him to read his. So it didn't work on like the little self kiosk outside. But when I went to the box office and just told the guy what I wanted and swiped the card, and then it worked. So besides that little hiccup, it was.
Has there been any updates? Have there been any updates that you guys have seen with AMC? Like, are they or?
Not officially right now, because I guess someone mentioned that it's in like their credit card user license agreements. When they agree to carry a credit card, they can't discriminate against different carriers of that card, and it's just a MasterCard. So they either have to like get rid of MasterCard completely, or deal with it.
Wow.
Or else they're breaking their terms of use.
Is this? Well, Trent, I know last time we talked about this, you said the site like wasn't working.
Yeah,
like can people actually sign up for this?
I haven't actually tried since then. But yeah, like all the buttons I kept clicking to like sign up now, it would just sit there and like laugh at me.
Yeah, the day of and the day after, the site was pretty much destroyed. And I feel bad for anyone who actually was a MoviePass subscriber before that, because apparently the app was pretty dead too. So if anyone wanted to go see a movie during that day or two after they dropped the price to $10, all the services were pretty much down. But no, I had a great experience with it and look forward to seeing a lot more movies in theaters now. So,
yeah, man, that's great. I really got to get on.
You really should. I mean, don't want to just like, this podcast is brought to you by MoviePass, but you know, I'm really, really happy with it. And so,
month by month, right? You don't have to subscribe to like a year or anything.
Nope, $10 month to month.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well,
so,
I will try and give it a shot.
Yeah. So MoviePass actually came out recently and said that they were planning on trying to hit 150,000 subscriptions by the end of 2018 was one of their company goals. Guess who hit it already?
Someone else. No, I'm just kidding.
No, yeah, they've already hit that goal. So, and I'm sure it's still growing as people out like me actually get their cards. Looking online, I'm actually one of the first people to get the cards.
Nice.
From the time they dropped the price. Like apparently I got it really early. They've even been emailing people who signed up that day and said don't expect your card until like September 6th or so. So I was one of the very early people to get one after the price drop. So lucky me. I was like refreshing the page like every 5 minutes until I could finally get somewhere, and then slowly made my way through the checkout or sign up process.
Yeah,
and I did not know. I'm looking at their website now, and yes, it works. And yeah, you can put in your zip code and see what movie theaters accepted. And yeah, it looks like the AMC's are on the list. So
this is funny. Like, well, I mean, technically the card is just like a MasterCard, right? Like, so it should only unless the person taking your tickets like knows to spot those cards specifically, they would have no idea.
And I'm not really worried about it here. There's only like one AMC theater in Utah, and it's not close. So everything else is a Cinemark and a local theater chain.
So I keep clicking the red Join Now button, and it just keeps refreshing the page on me.
Scroll down, maybe.
And then
I did that before, but then like the top of the page is the same, but I'd scroll down, and then it would have the sign up thing. But I'm not there now, so
it does not.
all right. Look at it later.
Maybe it hates Chrome. I don't know.
But either way, I
and
loved
so-
it. So
The Jurassic World game is called Jurassic World Evolution, and it's currently slated for summer of 2018. So
Huh.
there's
Well, that will be a fun summer.
your fun summer.
fun summer.
The funnest summer ever is Summer Sanders on Figure It Out. So
I don't know anything about what that means.
I do, and I laughed. And I guess CJ's not going to explain it, but that's okay.
nope.
All right.
Trent will just have to figure.
Right, I'll Google it later. Actually, I won't because I don't care. But hey, it's working on Edge, so I can go sign up for MoviePass.
Woo! Well, something that you could use that MoviePass on someday is Godzilla versus Kong when it comes out in a few years. So Godzilla 2 is the next movie in this cinematic monster universe, so that they're calling it or whatever.
Oh no, sorry, I wasn't booing your transition. I was booing the movie.
Oh, sad.
I love you.
But it could be-
It sounds terrible.
It might be fun.
Have you seen Godzilla or Kong?
Nope.
That's why you're not excited. They were both great movies.
I thought Godzilla was okay.
Godzilla was good. Kong was great.
And I don't even care that I'm going to spoil it, but how do you have Bryan Cranston in all of the trailers and then kill him off in the first 20 minutes?
Because they do, like, all the Breaking Bad fans would go crazy and want to see the movie.
Yeah, he was the best part of that movie.
He was.
It's like that Steven Seagal action movie where he's only in the first like 5 minutes of the movie and then dies.
Really? What movie's that? Now I want to see it.
There's like terrorists on an airplane, and they take a stealth bomber up to the bottom of the airplane and dock with it, and these Navy SEALs get out. And Steven Seagal is like the team leader, and then like they have to dislodge the fighter before everyone can get off. So he like shuts the hatch and like pulls the fighter away, and it blows up. So he dies like right away.
Huh.
I will look it up for you.
All right.
Well, either way, Godzilla vs. Kong will be set in the modern day, unlike the King Kong movie, which was set earlier. I think it was the 70s.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, we'll get Godzilla 2 and then Godzilla vs. Kong. And I'm very excited
Executive
for it.
Decision is the name of that movie, by the way.
Oh, I think I've heard of
okay.
that. I don't remember it, though.
Yeah, it sounds familiar. I've definitely never seen it, though.
Like he's on the cover of the movie, and then he dies. Like,
Well,
right
apparently they made an executive decision regarding how long he's going to be in the movie.
apparently.
It's very good.
Well, Trent, why don't you kick us off our next topic here?
So, people are abuzz about Star Trek Discovery getting a mature rating for TV.
Yep, the same rating as South Park and Game of Thrones, Star Trek Discovery.
TVMA. And of course, the first thing people did was complain about it and everything that might go wrong because of it. Because why not? Everyone else is crapping on the show. You might as well join in, I guess, is everyone's mentality. Because everyone's like, oh, they're just going the cheap, like, boobs in space route, trying to be like Game of Thrones in space. I'm like, if it could be half as good as Game of Thrones, I will be thrilled. So that's kind of the story of it. What do you guys think about it?
I'm a little bit more excited for it than I was originally, because I wasn't sure how, because it was going to be on, the CBS All Access special thing. I didn't know how CBS the show would be still. If it would still feel like a cheaper network show, so to speak.
This does raise an interesting question for me. They're premiering the pilot on CBS, but then the rest of the show is on the CBS All Access's app. Do they have to follow the same rules? Like, can they show what HBO would show, for example, since it's not airing on a network show in prime time?
I definitely don't think so. My guess would be that they filmed two versions or just film certain scenes slightly different. The best example of that is the pilot for Breaking Bad. The one you see now isn't the original pilot, so to speak, because the original pilot they shopped out to channels like HBO and Showtime, and all of whom rejected Breaking Bad until it finally went to AMC. And so the original pilot has a lot more language, and it has nudity in it and
Boobs
and stuff like that. And so, but when the show finally went to AMC, they couldn't go that far with it. So when Jesse is sneaking out of the house across the street while Walt's in the back of the car, the woman throwing his clothes out the window didn't have a bra on in the original pilot,
but she was wearing a sweater. So in the edited one, she's wearing a sweater. They CGI'd a sweater on her.
That's interesting. So, but I mean, they've known that. I don't care. Sorry. So I mean, they've known this was going to be on CBS and CBS All Access from the beginning. So like, I don't think this is necessarily a different versions thing.
Maybe just like an edited for TV one, where maybe possibly in the future show they'll say like the S word or things like that, but just they filmed alternate takes where they say shoot instead so it can be on CBS. I don't know.
Well, that's what I'm saying though. Like, is the pilot going to be one style, and then once they know that they're not on the TV show anymore, can they get away with showing other stuff? That was my original question.
Gotcha.
But you said no.
I misheard your question then. I apologize.
That's okay. So can they get away with, I mean, since there's no real rules about what you can stream on an app, can they just, slap the MA rating on there and then show whatever they want?
I guess I'm still not getting I guess I'm still not understanding the question. I thought I understood it, but then you said that last part and made me think it was the original question again that I misunderstood. So now I'm confused.
Am I making any sense to you, TJ?
Yeah. I mean, I get it. You're just saying like when it's not on TV and it's just on the app, will they be allowed to show other stuff that they couldn't show before because it was on TV?
Right.
And that, I don't know. That's a good question, because you would have to figure the content or the rating will be different than every other show on that app. So unless they started doing other shows the same way.
Right. Like zooming out just from Star Trek in general, like is CBS bound by the same network television restrictions on their app as they are on network television?
I would think so. I don't know. That is a good question, but yeah, I would think that they are.
I would guess that they were not still, because I think broadcast networks are held to a lot higher and a stricter standard because it's something that can be picked up over airwaves by anybody, versus cable, or in this situation, CBS All Access, which is a subscription-only service where they can get away with more TVMA-ish things.
Neat. Now I'm curious as to see what they're going to do with this.
Yeah.
Well, we will find out. So far, the only thing we still really know is that the Klingons look weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anywho.
Well,
Next.
We went and saw Next. Best segue. Next. Well, Trent and I helped the box office economy this weekend by going to see Dunkirk, but I guess it didn't help at all because this past week, the box office suffered the worst weekend in 16 years. That's right. There hasn't been a worse weekend in the box office since 9/11.
Wow.
And that is a serious statement. That is not a joke or anything. That was the worst weekend at the box office until today, or this weekend.
We tried, Trent. Sorry, we didn't make it, guys.
We need to go see like a few thousand more movies this weekend.
Yeah. Yeah, that's I mean, I just blame the movies that are out, because a lot of the stuff that was like selling a lot of tickets has been out for a few weeks now, and then I think a lot of the movies that they thought were going to continue to sell tickets didn't. Yeah, I don't know. There's just not really anything out that's that great.
People are saying The Fight caused a lot of people to stay indoors too.
Yeah, there's The Fight, and then the Game of Thrones finale. I know that was Sunday night, but still.
Yeah.
See, like, I didn't hear about The Fight until it was happening. That's the weirdest thing to me. I don't know how I did that.
Yeah, I don't know either, because I'm not into stuff like that at all, and that's like all I was seeing on social media and stuff.
Right? That's what I said, but no one believed me. Both Trent and Maggie were like, "What fight? I haven't heard anything."
Yes.
You crazy sports fanatic.
Yes, thank you, Maggie.
So,
Hmm.
but yeah.
Well, I mean, it's a problem that Hollywood's been facing for a while now. Like, obviously, this is a new low, but it's been in decline for a while, I feel like. I think it goes back to that discussion we've had in the past, is that TV is really hitting its stride. It's easier to digest, TV shows and episodes, or to binge watch as you want. And TV is catching up to movies in terms of quality, so
That's been just a
why would
lackluster
you-
summer overall.
yeah, why would you spend $15 to go see a movie when you could spend that $15 and watch thousands of movies with a month of Netflix?
Yeah, and I mean, like we talked about last week, just the theater-going experience has been kind of going downhill.
Yeah.
So I gotta get a MoviePass subscription and go see it at Alamo.
Yeah. I really wish there was an Alamo around me, but we already talked about that.
Let's just all move to Denver, and everything will be fine.
Everything will be A-okay.
You just sell your house, it'll be really easy. It's fine.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right, well, we're at the end of our news and what we've been watching and playing for the week. So it's that time again. We're going to be talking Game of Thrones Season 7, Episodes 6 and 7, spoiler cast, since we didn't have time to get to it last week. TJ, did you see the finale?
I did, actually. I did.
Oh, good. So you could happily join in the conversation with us. So
I don't know.
Trent?
I might derail it.
That'll never happen. So for those of you who are jumping off, we hope to see you next week. Give us a shout out on social media, or go leave us a comment or rating on iTunes, and we'll see you next week. For those of you who are staying, yay, spoilers! But I'm also sad because Game of Thrones is over for at least a year.
It is over for at least a year, which is really sad. We're so close to the end.
I know, we have 6 more episodes. So let's just start with big first impressions, I guess.
So both these episodes I loved. I loved the entire season. I know a lot of people have kind of complained about the writing and some of the time.
Fan fiction-y.
Yeah. Or as far as like, how fast people are traveling thousands of miles, so to speak. But I'm of the opinion that, at the beginning of the season, we only had 13 episodes left, and it was time to get rid of the fluff. Not to say that it was all fluff, but, there was a lot of fluff because, A, they were adapting books, and they were adapting books really, really well, and including, a lot of extra stuff in there that, some people have adapted a book into a single 2 or 3 hour movie, whereas they took a single book and adapted it into an entire season or 2. In the case of book 3 was seasons 3 and 4. And also I felt like around the time of season 5, they were kind of spinning their wheels a little bit and adding a lot of fluff and hoping that George R. R. Martin would release the 6 books to give them more material to go off of. And then once they realized it wasn't happening and they were the ones to finishing the story on their own, that they're just cutting it out and getting straight to the point, rather. So I'm happy that they did that because I felt it was the right time for the show, even if it could be a little bit jarring compared to the first half of the show, in my opinion. But for these last 2 episodes, again, love them. Love the whole season. I'm very excited to see where it goes.
Yes, I agree.
Trent agrees.
Which is strange because this might be the last time that I agree with you in this recap. But yeah, I also don't understand the complaints about, like, the average land speed of a Westerosi Raven, or whatever the joke is, or like how far did Gendry run, and like, why did the White Walkers have chains? Like, nobody cares. At least you shouldn't care, because they're dragging a dragon out of a glacier lake, and you're worried about the chains. Just let that sink in for a second.
Yeah, but I don't know if that's a fair argument, though, because I mean, there's so much stuff argument. I don't know.
Fight,
I don't know. There's so much stuff that you could just throw away, and like, I mean, where do you draw the line? I guess is what I'm asking.
I mean, do you need them to tell you like X hours have passed in order for you to understand that the time jump has happened?
Well, no. I mean, I think people make too big of a deal out of it, but I mean, there's a lot of like good points that people are pointing out. I could see if it was like one thing, like let's say everything else, it didn't have any of that, but the chains. Like, where did the chains come from? Like, where did they get those to pull that dragon out? Like, if that was the only thing, it's like okay, whatever. But if there's multiple things happening in like a single episode that people are like, well, wait, how did they do this or how did they do that? I think it's beyond nitpicking at that point, and it just comes off as kind of lazy writing.
I mean, if you nitpick one thing or 5 things, it's still nitpicking. Like, if you have no good justification to like care, like the number of things you're nitpicking to me doesn't make it more worth nitpicking.
Yeah, no, I mean, I understand that, but I don't know, it still comes off to me as lazy. It's like, because there's plenty of other movies and TV shows where they can explain everything like that, and then in this, it's like they just want you to accept it. Like, oh, well, don't worry about that because that's not the focus. Like, so focus on the story. Don't worry about the little details here and there.
But it's not the focus, and that's the thing. It's like, I bet you could take any episode of Game of Thrones and come up with 8 or 9 things that are be like, where did that come from? Who are they? Like, why are they here?
Why is Sam so fat?
Well, yeah, why is Sam still fat? Like, how many years has gone by? Why does Sam and Gilly's baby look so much older now? Like, they haven't explained how many years have gone by, but he's a toddler now. And it's like, there's plenty of things that people could nitpick, and for some reason that episode received the full attention of those people, and it just seemed weird to me. Like,
well, I mean,
take any fantasy or sci-fi show ever, and I can find you a dozen things that are unexplained.
Yeah, but I just feel like with that episode, I mean, what does that tell you? Where like that episode like is kind of set apart from the rest of them because no one really nitpicked about a lot of stuff with the other episodes. So I think that's why they did it with this one. This is the first one where majority of people noticed like, wait a second, this is weird. They didn't explain that or they didn't explain that. I'm sure there's things in every episode that you could say that about, but this one just had so many. It was the first time that people were like, wait a second, I never ask myself about stuff like this in Game of Thrones because it's so well written and they do explain all that, and this time they didn't. So like, what gives? This seems lazy to me.
I think people get on a bandwagon and someone makes a meme and then all of a sudden it becomes the focus of that episode.
Yeah. I kind of agree with that too. One that kind of comes to mind is that there's a moment in season 6 where the character Sansa is raped by her then newly husband Ramsay, and that caused the internet just to explode, even though I thought the scene was fine, I guess. The act is obviously horrible, but it's Game of Thrones, that's what we're there for. And then kind of going back, no one said anything about when Melisandre raped Gendry back in season 3. And so like the internet was just exploding with uproar of that scene. It's not really having to do with continuity, but I'm just kind of going on how people bandwagon kind of on to one single topic, even though they were totally okay with it, in just a semi-different situation a few seasons earlier.
Yeah, but that's to say that everyone complaining about it is like making a big deal out of it. And that's definitely not true, because that's a lot of the bandwagon people. But there are a lot of like hardcore fans that did point it out. It didn't ruin the episode for them, but they are asking like, why didn't they think about that, or how did they explain that? So, but the bandwagon thing, like, you guys are definitely right about that, and especially with social media, like that stuff blows up, like it spreads like wildfire. But there are still the fans that aren't like saying, "Oh, I hated that episode because of this," but they are still questioning it though.
Yeah, and I can see how some people can feel that way. I'm sure Trent agrees with me that we don't agree. The chains was not even something that I thought of until I saw the internet whining about it later.
The bigger question that they've established now than the finale, when Euron asks the very direct question, can they swim, is how did they attach the chains to the dragon who sank to the bottom of a lake?
Yeah.
That's a really good question that no one asked.
Well, no, to be honest with you, that's actually what I heard before I heard, like, where did they get these chains from? It was, how did they attach them to there? How did they go underwater and attach it?
Okay, well, then that is a good question.
That is,
no, they don't swim. They just sink to the bottom. And those whites stay down there.
That's how the dragons got the hole in its wings. They kept fishing with the chains with hooks on the end before they could get the dragon up.
Or maybe they just killed some fish and then attached the chains to the fish and had them go in there.
Ooh, zombie white fish. Yes, I like this theory.
But yeah, I mean, because like, okay, let me take like The Dark Knight Rises, for example. Like, I love the Dark Knight trilogy. You know, we've talked about it. I think you guys are both fans of it too. But The Dark Knight Rises, like, there are some things like that that happen that make you go like, well, wait a second. How do they explain this? Like when Bane and them like take over the stock market, and then they escape on the motorcycles, and Batman's chasing them. They go in a tunnel. It's daytime. They go in a tunnel. They come out, and it's like totally night.
Yes.
And it's like, that's a continuity error. And, you know, I think everyone has the right to kind of complain about that because it does kind of take you out of it.
I don't know. Absolutely. Everybody has the right to complain about anything. I just...
Well, but see, but then I compare that attention to detail and writing to Batman Begins, where Batman Begins, that's my favorite of the three because I feel like there aren't really moments like that in there. I feel like that movie really explains everything, and I'm like, wow, that was really well written. And then by the third one, it's like, well, wait a second. That's another time-traveling one. I totally didn't even realize that they correlated that way. How did Bruce Wayne get back to Gotham so fast after escaping the pit? Like, everyone was talking about that, and it's a valid point. There's not really a good explanation. How did Batman escape from the nuke after he, you know, flew it out into the water? How did he get back in time and survive? Like,
yes, I think very interesting, and I don't think any of the plot holes in Game of Thrones that last episode were that bad or to that level. I mean, you literally could have explained every single one of them with 5 hours later on the screen, or showing Gendry run for another 45 seconds or whatever to really engage the time. But like, we don't have that much time left, and I would prefer to have less boring television. And all that explanation to me would be boring television.
And the change could be explained later. Like, a current theory to explain it right now is that the Night King is a green seer, kind of like Bran is, and can see the battle with the dragon coming up, and they preemptively brought the change for that situation.
Well, and that's a good point too, because it's kind of like the Sansa Arya. Like, the internet blew up about that. Like, what is going on between them? This just seems like kind of fake, or like the writing seems kind of bad, and then you find out that they were faking it the whole time. Like, they knew exactly what they were doing. So it's like the internet for a week was going crazy about that, complaining about it, and now after this episode, it's like, oh, well, that explains everything.
Well, I still want to complain about it for a few reasons. A, they had trivial fighting scenes when Littlefinger wasn't around. Like, they were alone in Arya's bedroom. You know, maybe
Littlefinger's always around.
Maybe, but there's that, and then there's also the theories that happened, was it last season? I think it was last season, when Arya was escaping from the Faceless Men. There's like the one moment where she kind of escapes them, and then there's one episode where she's like walking around town wearing her own face, like smiling with a big bag of money like on her purse, like handing money out to people like buying bread or whatever. And then like this old lady comes up to her and is like, "Excuse me," or whatever, and then it turns out to be the waif, and the waif like stabs Arya. Then Arya like stumbles around through the city like bleeding, and then like falls in a creek, and then she somehow makes it out, and then manages to still defeat the waif in single combat and stuff like that. And so like Arya has been very, very poorly written the past few seasons, and based on what we know of Arya, like that made absolutely no sense. She's been trained by these assassins that could hide their faces, and she's walking around the city that their home base in. That they're based in, and they have a hit out on her, so to speak, and she's walking around with her own face with a huge sack of money, drawing attention to herself. So everyone was like, after that happened, they're like, well, what's going on? Is she like tricking the waif? And are we going to pull a switcheroo where, you know, that's not really, or nope, it was just Arya being really, really, really stupid. And so the fact that happened just right before this season, in the season storyline, then we go right into her going into character, making very stupid decisions and being very petty against Sansa, you know, doing it when they were alone, you know, that was causing worry and concern. That I think was a lot warranted, even though it had a good payoff at the end.
I think, I don't know, I want to go back and rewatch it again, because there was the scene right when she finds the paper, and that's the end of that episode. Then the next episode is where she like confronts her in her room, and they
Yeah.
have the like, oh, would you like to play a game? Blah blah blah. Like, I tell lies or whatever, and you have to tell which one is like, if I believe you, I win, or whatever. I don't remember what everything was, but I actually thought that was really well written. Especially, I mean, obviously hindsight is 2020, but at the time, I mean, we knew those things about Arya were not true. Like the things that she kept saying, like, I would love to be Lady of Winterfell. I would love to like wear those pretty dresses. Like the entire show has been telling you that that is not true.
But she didn't say that. She didn't say I would love to. She's like, I wonder what it would be like to be you, kind of thing, in a sinister way. Not like I want to do that.
No, but even then, like she has no interest in any of those things. Like she made fun of her sister for wanting to wear those pretty dresses. She has no interest in even knowing what they're like.
Well, to kind of take TJ's side, I think it was delivered poorly enough to where more people were worried about the quality of the writing than waiting for a switcheroo on us.
Meh.
Yeah.
I thought it was fine. I thought it was well done for that scene alone. Anyway, I thought it was good.
Yeah, I guess him. That's okay.
Like I said, we're gonna be disagreeing the rest of the rest of the episode. Because I mean, I have kind of a hot take that except for a couple of scenes, I thought the finale was kind of boring. And I know like a setup episode again.
Well, the seasons have always kind of done that a little bit. If you've noticed, the penultimate episode, the episode 9 of previous seasons, were always something big and huge and exciting, whereas episode 10, the finale, was always just kind of wrap up and then set up for the next season. So I kind of went into that thinking that, from the previews, we knew that they'd be meeting and having a talk, and that's pretty much it. And I still think what we got with, the final revelation of the wedding and John and Danny hooking up and the crumbling of the wall, left a lot of good bits for us and enough to get us excited for the next season.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was good. They said in the interview afterwards that, like, yeah, we really wanted to switch it up for this season finale, and I was like, it felt like every other season finale. Like, you learned some things, some people changed their status, and that was about it. Like, I mean, I think last season's finale was way more impressive and exciting. Like the explosion of the Sept and like everything else that was going on.
Yeah.
And like Tommen killing himself, like some real big things happened. And between last episode and this episode, the wall coming down was really the only really big thing and Littlefinger's death was the only two things I can really think of that were that big. I mean, Cersei stayed exactly the same in exactly the same position she was before, except she played Jon and Dany really well, and her brother lover.
I would say Jaime leaving Cersei finally and joining our core group of heroes is big.
Yeah, I think that's a big deal.
Which I think leads to less credence that he's going to be the one to kill her, by the way.
I agree, but I still think it's going to happen.
It's possible. But he would have to return to her to do that. And she's not leaving King's Landing, so...
And we need to do some awesome heroic stuff in the new season. So,
well, for the record, for anyone listening, I've never done one of these Game of Thrones spoiler casts, but I'm a very, very, very casual Game of Thrones fan. Like, I haven't even seen every episode and stuff. But I've watched the past couple. I'm familiar enough with the show, and I have to side with Trent. I guess as someone from my view of the show, like watching this finale, I didn't really feel like there were some cool parts, but it didn't really feel like a big enough finale considering there's only 6 episodes of the show left in the whole series. I just felt like they would really kind of have more like surprises, but I feel like a lot of the big surprises were things that a lot of people were already predicting.
That's kind of the problem with just internet culture in general, that pretty much everyone predicts everything.
Well, yeah, that's true. But I mean, even if you don't go on social media, if you just watch the show, like I feel like a lot of people kind of saw where some of this stuff was going already. And I feel like that's why Game of Thrones became so popular, because no one really felt safe. All the characters were expendable at any given moment. And this was the first time where people are seeing these big characters get into these battles and then they come out of it just fine. Not saying that killing off characters is the only way to make it compelling, but now they do kind of seem like they are more safe than they used to be.
Yeah, like the only two characters I really worried seriously about were Jamie and Tormund.
Yeah.
I mean, Tyrion a little bit, but I feel like Tyrion is invincible at this point. Because everybody knows that if they kill Tyrion, we riot, so...
Yeah.
Tyrion is probably on my lower list of favorite characters this season. You know, historically, that hasn't been the case. Tyrion has been consistently my favorite character. I just felt he didn't have enough to do this season.
Well, he's a bad hand. Like, he's not done a very good job, in my opinion. He can't really seem to convince Daenerys of anything, and most of his tactical decisions have been countered, if they were good at all. So, and then I think that goes to say why we're not really liking him a lot this season, is because he's not really doing what he's good at.
Well, and even talking about like the writing and the execution, like Tormund, like you said, you know, you're worried about him. It's like last week's episode, all those, is it whites or wits? I've heard it's pronounced wits.
I've always said
whites.
white.
Yeah, I've always said that too, but recently I heard it's the actual pronunciation's wits. So, well, whatever. They were all like on top of him, like killing him. Well, you know, you thought they were killing him, and that scene lasted so long. They were on top of him for so long, and you're like, okay, he's gonna die. Like, okay, they're showing this for way too long. He's clearly gonna die. Why isn't he dead yet? Okay, he's still alive. No, wait, he has to die now, and then he gets saved. It's like stuff like that. Like, that was very unusual. That didn't seem very Game of Thrones. That felt more Walking Dead. And
Yeah.
Game of Thrones and Walking Dead are like on two totally different ends of the spectrum.
Totally.
So that, and I just thought that was kind of like a cheap, like, moment, like a cheap thrill. And then he didn't die. Not saying he had to die, but it's like, don't have a scene like that and then not have him die in a show where anyone can die at any time. It just felt like lazy writing. And I feel like it was a lot of moments like that that kind of snowballed, and that's why you heard so many people complaining about it.
Yeah, like I think, like, I know that it was a big emotional thing when the dragon died that episode, but I still feel like one of the quote unquote fellowship should have died.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In addition to who did, because they had because I went back and watched the scene where they walk out of the wall together, and it's literally just them.
Yeah.
Which is why when they suddenly had red shirts to spare the next episode, everyone was like, "Where the hell did these guys come from?"
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was two of the same people. Like, I'm pretty sure the same extra died twice. So the guy with the goatee and the dark hair.
Yeah.
I'm positive that he died twice.
And see, you notice that because Game of Thrones doesn't typically have that because the writing is done so well. They don't need to do that.
I agree.
And you saw, like, yeah, it's them alone, and then these guys come out of nowhere, and they're the ones that die. And it's like, that's just lazy writing.
Because in that episode, the first time someone died, I was like, holy crap, who was that? Wait, who died? And then they show everyone alive, and I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah. That's like, oh my gosh, Khaleesi has a fourth dragon that we didn't know about, and then it flies in and it dies. And it's like, oh, well, the dragon's dead, but it's not one of the main three.
That'd have been funny. Okay, so let's talk about some stuff we did like, now that we've thoroughly trashed it for a little while. One of the best moments, I don't remember if this was the finale or the episode before. I think it was the finale. Jon and Daenerys and like Jorah and like the War Council are trying to decide on how Daenerys should get north. And Jorah's like, you should fly, it's safer that way. And Jon's like, no, you should take the boat with me. And Jorah's like, no, I think you should fly. And then Jon's like, no, you should take the boat. And then when she decides on the boat, Jorah's like, dang it. She's going with that Jon Snow guy again.
Yeah, that was great.
Really, really funny.
I loved when Theon gets kicked in the crotch. That kind of just smiles.
Yeah,
See,
that was great.
See, I didn't like that.
What?
It just felt kind of cheap. I know it's supposed to represent him like this horrible, horrible thing that happened to him where you think nothing good can come out of it, ended up saving him. Like that was his saving grace. But I just felt like that was just kind of a cheap, like, I know it was meant to be kind of funny, but I just feel like all the stuff that he went through should have been enough. Like, regardless of that happening, all the stuff he went through should have been enough to, like, show, like, he's been through a lot of crap, so he can take a beating, like, no problem, because this is nothing compared to what he's gone through. That's why I felt like it didn't need that moment. He should have just kept getting back up. He's telling him, like, you stay down, but he just keeps getting back up, and then he wins. Like, I felt like that would have been enough.
I mean, I thought it not only was it symbolic of this whole, like, you know, what I thought brought me down is helping me in this moment, but I thought it had a really neat and interesting dovetail back to the very opening conversation between Braun and Jamie about cocks.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and like, oh, like if I didn't have a cock, I wouldn't be fighting, blah blah blah, and all this is funny stuff about like it all comes down to having a cock or whatever, and like so many, like it's just kind of like this meta, like feminist-ish joke about like, you know, men get their penis, like their power from their penis or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was kind of cool. You know, it's like reminding you that like one of the heroes of the story is, you know, Theon, who had this horrible thing happen to him that he thinks makes him not a man. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I understand that. I mean, I guess I'm not saying like it was terrible, but I don't know. It didn't come across to me that way because like that fight was so intense. Like my eyes were glued to the TV during that fight, and then when that happened, I'm like, oh, like really, this is how they're gonna end it? Like this is the only reason why he's gonna win. So
I died laughing personally. I don't know. It's okay. It was good.
I think Theon deserved a little win like that. In addition to his big win, he got at the result of it.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's a good point.
But you're entitled to your opinion. I could see how that could be seen as, you know, kind of just out of place.
No, you're wrong, and you should feel bad.
I feel terrible.
The Trent way of dealing with other people's opinions.
Oh. Dang it! Is that really my way? I'm a bad person.
It's my way or the highway.
So what do you guys think of the not really reveal to the audience, but reveal to the characters of Jon's true lineage?
Well, you go first.
So, I thought the scene between Bran and Sam was really good. They played off each other very well. Sam, like, he walks in, he's like, "I'm the three-eyed raven," and Sam's like, "Okay, I don't know what that means." He said he delivered that really well. But then he kind of contradicted himself. He's like, "I've seen everything that's ever happened, but what do you mean, Jon? Like Jon's parents weren't married, or were married, or whatever?" It's like he both supposed to have seen everything, but like didn't know this thing that he is now seeing.
Yeah,
and like you can explain it away with like he doesn't, like he can't literally remember everything that he's seen, I guess. But
he seems so confident.
I took it as the other three-eyed raven didn't download that information into him, either because they didn't get it in time, or it's because something the original three-eyed raven didn't even get a chance to see yet.
Huh. I guess it just goes back to the not explaining his powers very well.
Yeah.
In my opinion, like you'd think like the three-eyed raven would include past, present, and future, but he seems to mostly just be able to see the present and the past. And he mentioned those two specifically, so that was kind of interesting. But I thought like the music and then showing the couple getting married and like them kind of both coming to the same realization, I thought was pretty cool. To have it literally paired with him having sex with his aunt when you learn his real name, a little awkward.
Yeah,
I think that encompasses Game of Thrones perfectly, though.
But it's like, what is this show doing to me? It's turned me into the like, which incest am I rooting for? Like, that's what the show is boiled down to.
Yeah, I felt like that was a cheap like scene to have. Like, I'm not even saying like it shouldn't have happened at all, but I feel like I would have done the order differently. Like, still have all the same content, but I feel like that reveal should have happened before him and her got together. So then as the audience, you know before they do, and then every time you see them talking and getting closer to each other, you could be like, no, you really don't want to do that. Like, what are you doing? Don't talk about making babies and how you can't have kids. That means you could just do it all you want. And then,
Well, we
like,
kind of
I
already
just feel
did,
like they
though.
should. Well,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
we really knew the end of last season that she was his aunt.
The only
If you put-
revelation we
if you
got
put
is
the
that
pieces
he was a
together.
legitimate child.
Right.
but I guess it was just the execution of how they did it. Like, they finally officially reveal it while they're doing it.
Yeah.
That just felt kind of cheap to me. And it's like, oh, Game of Thrones, like, I know you do incest and stuff, but you're better than this. You could have done this a bit better.
The interesting thing to me is that it's like it actually makes more sense for the Targaryen incest because that's what their family was known for. Like, was it Aerys, the Mad King? You know, he was married to his sister.
Yeah.
So it's like it really wasn't that strange for the Targaryens. They were kind of known for it. Which makes me wonder like why Jaime and Cersei's was looked on so weird, but whatever. It's just one of those background things that you don't really know without more history behind it from the books and stuff. So I don't know. What do you think about the scene, Ryan?
I liked it. I was happy. I thought it was well done from every angle.
Yeah, it had a good
Every
emotional
angle.
rise.
Mm.
It had a good emotional rise to it.
Every
like,
angle and every
well,
curve.
That, there was a really good Reddit comment. It was like them Targaryen glutes, and I won't tell you which one I'm talking about. But yeah, I thought it was good. It wasn't the strongest moment of the episode, I don't think, and I think it should have been.
Yeah, I agree.
I think the strongest moment of the episode was seeing the wall come down.
Yeah, that was
terrifying.
something
Like,
I've known. Yeah, it's going to happen for seasons, but yeah.
And like that dragon just kept going and going and going. I'm like,
right?
it's just
it's like the
it's
freaking
not
Energizer
stopping.
dragon.
I'm like, oh, okay, it's everyone was like, is it going to breathe fire? Is it going to breathe ice? And it kind of breathed both, like something new. But yeah, and then it just kept going. It's like a little shot here and there, and then it just was nonstop. And I'm like, yeah, it really wants to get that wall down.
See, I thought it was just blue fire. Was it something other than blue fire?
It seemed like
it
was kind of sparkly though, almost like ice. It seemed like both. I mean, I don't know for sure, but when I saw it, I was like, oh, that's not really one or the other. At least, that's how I saw it.
Interesting.
So, I don't know.
Yeah, I was kind of like after everyone had sold me on the Night King is just gonna walk through the gate of the wall and the wall is gonna crumble by itself theory. Like I was kind of hoping for that, to be honest.
Yeah,
that would be cool.
It would have been cool. That's okay.
I would bet that still happens in the book, though.
Yeah, probably.
I think like I said, they're kind of just fast tracking toward the end. They're kind of skipping over some of the nuance.
Yeah. Well, it's
stuff.
like I know that like budgetary concerns were a part of this, but like I felt like it would have been cool to maybe have the Night's Watch / Wildlings put up a bit of a fight first before everything went to crap. But it's like they literally just like watched the people march out and make a line, not do anything, and then the dragon shows up. It's like, surprise, mother effers! Like,
yeah.
I don't know, like rain some dragon glass or fire down on him or something.
Well, see, another thing that kind of bothered me that just seemed like kind of lazy was the Hound. He goes in to check on the wit or white that they captured, and then it goes crazy in that box. Like he knocks on it once, and it just loses its mind in there. And I'm like, this is really cool. Like this thing is scary as hell. But then he carries the box out, and it's out there, and he takes off the lid, and like nothing happens.
Yeah.
And my wife, she even said, she's like, oh my God, is it not in there? Like, is this all going to crumble? Like, did someone sneak in there and let it out to like ruin this whole thing? And then it pops out.
Yeah,
and
it's like they had that one scene beforehand where they were like, the Hound's like, if anyone touches this, I kill you first. And I was like,
yeah.
Because Ryan and I like, why are they leaving the entire reason they all risked their lives in the hand of some random guard? Like, just carry it in.
Yeah. So see, that just felt kind of cheap. Because like, and what is the reason? Like, if he can barely knock on it without it going crazy, how come he could carry it out there and it's totally quiet, set it down, open the lid, and nothing happens? It's like that's just cheap. What's the word I'm looking for? Like
jump scare.
Yeah, kind of. It just creates like artificial
tension.
Yeah, I guess since the word escapes me, but you guys know what I mean.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but see, like that just goes back to the point I was making earlier, where like I wasn't even trying to argue, but it's just like Game of Thrones episodes don't normally have those moments, and to have so many that even we just pointed out, it's just unusual for the show. Because the show is known and loved just for the writing quality, and then to have all these like mistakes or things that are unexplainable and that things that just don't make sense, it's just like a huge like red flag. It's going to stand out because they're not used to seeing that stuff from the show.
That's fair. I can see your point better now.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't think it was like bad or anything. It's just when it all comes down to it, it's like, Game of Thrones, you're better than this. You could do better.
I gotta wonder how much of it comes down to the fact that they had to take over with the writing, and I wonder how much of it comes down to the fact that like maybe they didn't guess the right number of episodes to plan for, and so they're suddenly feeling rushed.
Yeah, maybe. That's a really good point, because this season had 7 episodes, right?
Yeah.
And then the last season's going to have 6.
Right.
Yeah, maybe you're right.
And they're going to be a little bit longer.
Yeah.
But
look at that. This episode was like an hour 20, right?
Yeah.
And it still had things like that happen. So maybe you're right. Maybe they're just like, oh yeah, we can knock this out in 7, like no problem. But maybe it did need a little bit of fluff in between.
I'm still like, I don't know how they're going to wrap up everything in 6 episodes. There's so many open threads right now between like, Euron and Theon and Yara and like the Night King, and then like the are they gonna have like Dany and Jon fight when he's told that he's Aegon? Like all this stuff, and like they better not be able to deal with the Night King's army in 1 episode.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a really good question.
You just see Dany on the ground with a spear, and she just throws a spear at the Night King, and the end.
Well, they've established that all you got to do is kill him, and everybody he's turned, and then by extension that they've turned, they all die. Yep. So we just need 1 dragon glass arrow to the Night King's neck or whatever, and they win that battle. But that's going to feel really cheap if that's the way they go. I actually thought it'd be really interesting now that they have like that scorpion ballista thing. Like that 1 shot that didn't take out Drogon, if it was an obsidian bolt, would take out Viserion. So,
yeah.
Is he that scary? I don't know.
Kind of reminds me back before Mass Effect 3, not to turn it all into Mass Effect, but before Mass Effect 3 came out, I
really thought this was going to be the first episode for Mass Effect.
Never.
Psych.
They had built the Reapers up to be just like this crazy, crazy powerful entity, and Sovereign in episode or Mass Effect 1 would be like, we have no beginning, we have no end, our existence transcends your very understanding, kind of stuff like that. So it made them like really deep, mysterious, and then the end of Mass Effect 2, you see thousands of them heading towards Earth, and then I was like, before Mass Effect 3 came out, I was like, I just don't want a magic kill all the Reapers button. And I was like,
Yep.
That's what happened. But I still didn't have a large problem with Mass Effect 3's ending. That was something I was hoping for, and that the ending would be a little bit more nuanced than that. And so hopefully Game of Thrones doesn't fall into the same trap where they just hit the kill all White Walkers button, which it's actually looking like it's probably going to be, just like Mass Effect.
But like we've talked about how like George R.R. Martin didn't want to create an enemy that was mindless and like the orcs, but so far we've got nothing from the White Walkers.
And that might be a decision that the creators of the show decide to go with. Just leave them as that, whereas the books will go more nuanced into making them gray characters rather than straight up evil.
Yeah.
Well,
or maybe they'll join up and then they'll all go kill Cersei.
Like, look, we'll promise you the land north of the wall forever.
well,
And
this might be.
Send you babies once a year.
Well, this might be a really stupid question, but do you think there's any shot that Daenerys will still have control over that dragon that they turned? Do you think they have that much of a bond? Or do you think that's a possibility? Or no, it's just gone?
I think the emotional weight of that scene is going to come from her seeing her baby basically fighting and killing her other babies. So I think it's going to be more pain for her having to kill it again rather than, having their bond and, coming together or anything like that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. Because
that was more of a narratively rather than like in the universe what could happen.
Yeah. Well, see, that was another like minor issue I had with just like the pacing of the show. When that dragon died, like I know she got emotional, but that should have been a way bigger deal to her. That's where that should have been the first time you see her really just like crumble, because that's the equivalent of one of her kids being killed.
Yeah.
And it's just, she looked over the wall and they're like, all right, we have to go. And she's like, no, I just need another moment. And that was it. I'm like, really? Like one of these three of your kids that you thought were just unstoppable, that would live forever, was just killed in front of your eyes, and that's all we get?
Not only that, so we've seen zombie polar bears, and we've seen all the rest of the zombie everything. How are any of them surprised that he turned the dragon? Like, that should have been an immediate concern.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Like that drove me nuts. Like when Tormund saw the dragon, I was like, oh my god! It's like you've literally seen this guy has one power aside from a really good javelin throw. Like he has one power, and that's to turn other things into undead. How did you not see this coming?
Well, and you know what? See, that's the lazy writing I'm talking about, because a simple, quick fix would have just been one line from him saying, like, oh my god, they did it.
Yeah, something like that.
Because then they were thinking about it, like, oh crap, they just killed it. They turn everything they killed. Just that would have been a simple fix.
Yeah. I feel like we're trashing a lot on something that I really, really did enjoy. Both episodes, and I wanted that to be clear.
See, I told you guys I shouldn't have been on. I told you I was going to derail it.
That's okay. Ryan and I just would have argued about Sansa the whole time. So
she's made it up for me this season with
she did it. Act. She did the thing that I said that she would do, and that you were so skeptical about, and I'm so happy that the one character that did what I was really hoping they would do, she out Littlefingered Littlefinger in the end.
Yeah, I'm glad she did.
And that sounds really weird.
She gave him the middle finger.
She gave him the finger.
She was the bigger of the fingers.
And holy crap, Arya did not make it quick. That was a shallow cut, and to let him bleed out on the floor, gurgling. I was like, oh dang, Arya! Like, you killed Walder Frey quicker than that.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
All right, you guys about ready to wrap up?
I am ready.
Yeah.
All right, send us out, Trent.
All right. For those of you who are still here, thank you so much for joining us for another episode of the Brief Nerdity Podcast. Go to iTunes, give us a rating and a comment. We would love it, or a review. Check us out on social media. Let us know if there's anything you would like to have us talk about, or if there's anything from any of the episodes that you disagree with and want to argue with us about. We'd love to read your email on the show. So reach out to us, and we'll see you again next week.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.